I think it's about time I take you through my collection. I don't do this very often, but here it is, my collection in its entirety. I'm not doing this as a filler video or to show off or anything. There is a reason for it and we will discuss that today. So, side note, there are 2 games missing here from a Mega Drive collection, Hellfire and Michael Jackson. My brother is treating this place as a blockbuster these days, so those games are currently out on rent, if you will. But the rest of them are there, present and correct. Yes, I need to dust, but it's the top shelf. There's no one tall enough in my family except maybe one brother who can see on the top shelf, so I don't need to, but I will at some point. Anyway, the games that I have there are probably the ones that will remain, and I don't really envisage me adding anything to this collection anytime soon. And that's not to say that I don't like the Mega Drive. Obviously I like the Mega Drive, otherwise I wouldn't have a collection, right? But I have most of the games that I play frequently, Road Rash, Sensible Soccer, and a couple of others dotted around the place every now and again. And now of course I do have Aladdin and The Lion King and even Jungle Book on the Xbox, and I've played through them recently, so I don't really see me going back and playing the originals anytime soon either. That's not to say that I don't want to add anything. Like I've mentioned previously, there are a few games that I still want to put into the collection. Cannon Fodder is one of those that is just right at the tippy top of the list, and there are a few others that maybe I'll mention in a future video as and when I get back round to being interested in collecting for the Mega Drive and to tick those games off, or of course if I see them cheap anyway. That brings me to my Xbox One/X collection. Creed Champions is currently in the machine and the case is downstairs, so that's why there is a gap. Now, eagle-eyed viewers will notice that Advanced Warfare is there, and it shouldn't be. I sold all of my Call of Duty games the other day, but when I went to sell this, I noticed that it had a bit of damage on the disc. In fact, there was a little bit of decay on the outside of the disc, and I thought, well, I'll go and buy another copy of it. I don't want to send the guy a dodgy copy, and that's exactly what I did. However, I don't think I needed to. The other day, I'm installing Creed Champions, so I pop it into the console, and I sit there and I'm just sort of staring at the screen, and I notice something, and I've got a screenshot to show you. It says content on disc is like 40 megabytes, which is very, very small for a video game. And then it has downloadable content, 8 gig or something stupid. And I was thinking, wow, is it really a case of just the license file on the disc and then it just tells the console to go and download the entire game? And then I started thinking, well, I don't really hear the disc drive spin up when I'm playing a game. I played Aladdin and Lion King the other day and I didn't hear it at all, ever. Past that initial install, which I hear for about 10 seconds, then it goes dead silent, downloads the game. Every time I click play, I don't hear the disc spinning or anything like that. It probably does spin inside the console very gently just to read the license, and then it allows access to the downloaded game, which is crazy in itself to think that these games don't have any data on them bar the license file. I don't know if that's the same for the PlayStation 5. The takeaway here really, and back to my original point, Advanced Warfare probably will be fine. Even with that bit of damage on the corner of it, so long as the activation file or the license, if you will, is fine, then it should be okay. But I went into CEX, I bought it, and I used voucher because I bought a whole host of other things, which I will show you today, but it cost me £3. So I will take £3 off the voucher in the series because I did just lump it in with the rest of the stuff that I bought. Let's get back to it briefly because those aren't the only Xbox games I have. I do have a couple of Steelbooks over here. I do have a loose disc as well, actually. So Anthem for £2 in a video not that long ago, and I picked up Fallout 4 a long time ago, actually, before the series even came out. That was about £2, couldn't leave it there. This is the rest of my display, if you will, and I do have a loose copy of WWE 2K16 that was in a random PS4 disc, and I do have that slip cover of Elden Ring. It doesn't have the game or the case with it, just the slip cover. I got that from the bin of CEX because I can't see stuff like that thrown away. But that is just a little display that I have on top of it. Now, I did have console boxes for days here, and I do obviously have the Xbox Series X console box there. That won't stay there. I am looking to put a shelf actually behind me above the Arcade Paradise poster. I do have a few shelves. I've had them for years at this point. They've just been on the floor waiting to be put up. I'm just lazy. I'm in no rush to put those shelves up at the moment because I don't actually have anything to put on the shelf above the games, but I will soon. And that brings me to my biggest collection and the one that I'm probably the most passionate about. Here is my Xbox 360 collection. Let's go through every single game individually and tell you a little story about them. I'm not going to do that. Can you imagine? I'd be here for days. So here are the games. Now, I don't include the promo copies in amongst the standard editions of these games, and it's just because I like to see all the promo copies next to each other, although I have included the classics. I don't have that many of them, to be fair. Big box LA Noire sticking out like a sore thumb. I don't really like to add them at the end. I know a lot of people do. They put them at the beginning or the end or something. If I get more of them, I will, but at the moment, I'm just going to stick it in the middle of all of it. There are 2 games missing here, incidentally, and that is Medal of Honor Airborne, which is downstairs with my 360, as well as Summer Stars, which is also downstairs with my 360. And that brings me to the end of those. However, we do have promo copies, of course, and there they are. I haven't picked up a promo copy for quite a while, and it's not because I'm not looking for them. They're just notoriously hard to find, right? When you're not looking for them, they're everywhere. You don't want them. You overlook them. You just, oh, I don't, look at that mess. And then, of course, that brings me to the Driver San Francisco Collector Pack, which I got for an absolute steal. Doesn't include the game, but that's not the point. And then Gears of War Steelbook, of course, which is just something to display at the end of the collection. I am still actively looking to collect Xbox 360 games. The focus has switched slightly recently to the Xbox One and Series X. I say slightly because that is the console I'm probably playing the most because it's new, right? It's exciting. I've missed nearly every single game on that generation, so I am trying to plow through as many as I can on Game Pass. If I have them physical, like Creed Champions, for example, which I found fun at the beginning. Then I found it really frustrating and difficult, even on the easiest setting. Now I found a way through it, and I found the sort of best way to sort of beat people, if you will. So I'm kind of half enjoying it again. It is very repetitive. A lot of the characters are not like fully licensed or in any of the films or anything, as far as I'm aware anyway, although I haven't seen Creed 2 and Creed 3, if I'm being honest. So they may very well be in those films, I don't know. But in terms of the original Rocky characters, yes, they have them all. Well, for the most part anyway. I don't think Spider Rico is in there.
Spider Rico. He's a bum.
It is what it is. It's enjoyable for the most part anyway. But that brings me on to the PlayStation side of things. Now, recently I slimmed this down. And slim it down I did. So here are my PlayStation 1 games. All 3 of them. Premier Manager 98, 99 and Theme Park. What more do you need? PS5 controller, which very rarely gets used these days. Those are my PS5 games. I've been through this recently. I only have Road 96 and Far Cry 6 because they're worth selling rather than trading, and F1 Manager is not even worth trading or selling. Sonic Mania Plus and Spider-Man are case only. The rest of those games are either not worth trading in or exclusive to the platform, so that's why they're there. Trooper Brook isn't exclusive to the platform, of course, but it does have a disc version, whereas the Xbox version does not. My PlayStation 2 collection, for what it's worth, which is not a great deal if I'm honest, but I do have most of the games that I'm interested in, or do I? Because that is going to bring me very nicely, if I do say so myself, onto my next collection, which is my original Xbox. Look at this whopping collection of 3 games. Brothers in Arms, Road to Hill 30, very good game. Rocky, which is the original Rocky game, and then the WWE Raw, which was very cheap in a boot sale, and I don't know why I bought it. But those are my 3 original Xbox games. Now, down here, I have something else, which is Rocky Legends, which is the second Rocky game, but on the PS2. So I have both Rocky games across 2 different platforms. And then, if you come back to Creed Champions, I have that on the Xbox One. We have a bit of a problem here. And that brings me to my dilemma, if you will. I've tried recording this bit a lot, and it just went on and on and on, and I know a lot of you are not going to care, but it does need some explaining, because I'm going to do I think anyway, a massive U-turn in my decision making here, but you need to know why. I mentioned not that long ago, I want to go for a particular subset, and I said there was about 48 games in the subset. What could it possibly be? It is all of the original Xbox games that are backward compatible with the Series X. I went on Xbox.com, started looking at them all, and I was like, oh, I kind of want to play a lot of these games. And lately, I've been playing games on Game Pass that I don't have any prior knowledge of. And then I saw a game that I wanted to play, and I didn't care about achievements, I just wanted to see how good this was, because it looked really interesting. The game, Rollerdrome. I would imagine if you've played it, you know exactly what I'm about to say. That game is amazing. It is quite simple in the fact that you only ever really get 4 weapons. You'll probably only ever use 1 weapon when you unlock it, but it's like Tony Hawk had a child with Max Payne. It's really weird. So you are literally on rollerblades in this death arena in the year 2030, and your objective is to kill all of the bots, essentially. And you have a degree of bullet time. They don't call it bullet time, but because of Max Payne, that's what I always call it in any video game. It's just a hell of a lot of fun. And incidentally, I did end up finishing both of the campaigns. Can't remember how long it took me, but that game sort of ignited something in me, really, something that I've been missing for a long time, and that's just the love of playing a video game. I'm not going to get too deep here. That's not to say that I don't care about achievements full stop, because I absolutely want to beat everyone on my friends list and retake that crown that I once had, but I started looking at games thinking, I just like to play it. I don't care about achievements this time, I just want to play it. I'll go after that game for achievements and I'll make sure that I hit every single one of them. This game, just want to play through it. It's taken me quite a few years to get to this point, because when I first started collecting video games, I would very rarely play much of anything. I mean, sure, I'd play video games, but I'd have to be really up for playing it, you know. Outside of FM and FIFA, I wanted to play some games, but I just never really did. But that's when I stumbled on Black and Crimson Skies, but more importantly, Black on Game Pass. Now, I knew achievements didn't come with it, so every single time since I've had my Xbox, I've looked at it, I've just skipped over it, right? Now, I have played it on the PS2, right at the back end of the PS2 life cycle. It came out and it looked phenomenal. I played it briefly, then the 360 came out and I obviously lost interest. And recently, I've looked at it a couple of times and gone, well, no achievements, don't really care. But now, for some reason, something's clicked and I want to play through it again. And I don't care about achievements. And I know it's not going to take me like stupidly long time to play it. It's not a particularly long game. Ticks all my boxes and I'm going to play it. And that's when I thought, well, can I buy this physically? Because I like physical things. And yes, I can buy it physically on the original Xbox, and it is backwards compatible because it's on these lists. And that's what prompted me to look at the list. Right, now that we're there, what's the problem? I want quite a few games that are not on this list. And another problem with this list is that not all of the games in the series are there and available on the original Xbox. There's only one Prince of Persia game, for example. The original Time Splitters is not on this list, it's just 2 and 3. Whereas on the PlayStation 2, and I think now you know where I'm about to go with this, you can get all 3 of the Time Splitters games. There are more than just the one Prince of Persia. And one very important subset of games that I want to collect, the TMNT or Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles games. There are a lot of them on the PS2, more than that on the Xbox. They are far cheaper and I kind of need them. So I've got a dilemma. And that's where the title of the video comes in. What do I do? Do I collect for the original Xbox at all? Do I just go for the backward compatible games that I'm interested in playing that are maybe exclusive to the platform? Otogi, as an example here, 1 and 2, both on the list of the backward compatible games that play on the Series X, and they are exclusive to the original Xbox. So maybe I buy those games, but anything else I can get on the PS2, maybe I collect on the PS2. I guess I could just go for the subset of 48, but then just have them off, you know, in my Xbox section of my collection, leave them there, play them as and when I want, for example, but then still go and collect everything that I want on the PS2. Even if it means double dipping here or there, I think I might lean toward that, and that's what I mean. I keep changing my mind on this thing and I don't really know what to do. That's where you need to sort of help me. Maybe your opinion, your insight into this will give me some clarity or make me think in a different way, because at the moment I keep flip-flopping on it. Like, why do I want to double dip? Do I need that collection there if I'm never going to play the games? Wouldn't I prefer to just go and get all these games on a PS2, get a PS2 to HD converter and have the PS2 downstairs and just be able to play them all whenever I want? Achievements don't matter, so why do I care if I have them on the Xbox or the PlayStation? I should just go for the PlayStation because that's where they all are for the most part. Let me know your thought process on this. What should I do? Because I need help. Let's take a break from all that. My throat is absolutely killing me. Let's go to CEX for a second because I do have a game to pick up and show you. In fact, I've got about 6 here to show you. A couple of them from CEX, a couple of them from Vinted. Down here, you might be able to see it already, actually. I'm looking at that Walking Dead. I still haven't played that, despite the fact that I own it and picked it up for £1. The game that I wanted, though, Wolfenstein. And I've had this before, but it had a problem with it. It had a crack going through it, despite the fact that I bought it from CEX. I took it back, and then it went down in price, which was quite handy for me because they have one here. So finally, I have Wolfenstein 2009 on the Xbox 360 to call my own. It's in pretty good condition as well, complete with a manual, no cracks in the disc or nothing. I really like the Wolfenstein games, but in particular this one I think is probably my favourite Wolfenstein game of all time, and it might be because I played this one the most, and I think I probably played this before I played any of the others. After I played it, I think I dabbled in a PC version that was like prior to this even, because there are some really old Wolfenstein games, but this one on the 360 is the one that I love the most. Now I do have, I think, most of the achievements for it, so it's not a case of going back and playing through it in its entirety for the achievements. However, I will go back and play this again. I don't know if it's on Game Pass, and I don't care. Now very happy that I have it physically. I did incidentally pick up another 2 games while I was there. One of them was a really cheapie, but I really wanted to play it, and again, I've played it, I've got what I want off it. I don't think I finished it. In fact, I know I didn't finish it, because it did start to get a little bit tricky as I got to the end. But my rule really when it comes to this credit, or at least my unwritten rule I should say, is if it's £5 or less, just use cash. As I was buying a few games and I wanted this, I didn't want to say, oh, can I just pay cash for this? So I just bundled it in with the rest of them. That game is Stuntman Ignition. Now I don't actually see this that often in many of the CEX stores that I visit. I'm not really sure why I don't see this, because it is a cheap game, but you do get that every now and again. And the reason I wanted to pick this up back in the day actually was because I played the original on the PS2. That was a really fun game. I actually remember sitting down playing that with my brother. We'd take it in turns and we'd scream at each other when the other one would mess it up, because we were about to get to the end of the movie and then we'd do something to mess it all up and have to start it all over again. I really hope they bring this series back actually, because I think it's a really good game. It's a really fun concept as well. So $2.50 off the credit going into the collection. I'm actually going to show you an Xbox One or Series X game now, and I've showed you this before and I said I was going to pick it up at some point, and they did actually price it wrong as well. So in this video we've actually talked about Turtles quite a lot. Now not that long ago I picked up Shredder's Revenge. It is on Game Pass, but I wanted it physical anyway, despite the fact that I've just established earlier on in this video that the discs only have the license on them. They don't actually have the content for whatever reason. But still, the one game that was eluding me from the Turtles series on the Xbox, now that there are 2 actually, because the newer one has come out, but I've just picked up Turtles Cowabunga Collection. Now I had this originally of course on the PlayStation 5. It does say 15, I think it actually is 15 now, but I got this for 12. This isn't on Game Pass. I thought it was, and that's why I didn't pick it up, and I went home and I had a look through and it wasn't there, and I was like, oh, maybe I should go buy that then, because it's not on Game Pass. Will it ever come to Game Pass? I'm really not sure. But now, of course, it doesn't matter because I own it physically. But only cost me 12, not 15. Someone explained this to me though. It came with this. Now it's a bit beaten up, but this is the pocket guide for Shredder's Revenge. But this is the Cowabunga collection, which doesn't have Shredder's Revenge in it. So why do I have a pocket guide? I have this in my Shredder's Revenge, so I don't need 2 of them, but I don't know why. I'm a bit confused. That aside though, very happy to put that into the collection. Now there is another Turtles game again. I think it's something Mayhem, to go with the newest film that came out, of course. That is available. That's a really cheap game in game terms, or new release terms anyway. It's only about 20 quid on Amazon. I was tempted to just use cash and buy that on Amazon, and then I thought, well, I'll just wait to see if it comes into CEX. Maybe I can use credit. I do have another pickup from CEX to show you. Before I get there though, I found something on Vinted and I was blown away by this. Now I think both of these actually are available on Game Pass, but they were just so cheap. I couldn't say no. It was impossible for me to not click buy on these. These 2 were just £7.82. Now me and my cat are going to show you these, and you're going to be blown away. You're probably not going to be blown away because they're not like, I don't know, I would say they're not great games. I think they are actually, but the first one is We Happy Few. Now this is a £5 in CEX. I've never played it, but I was really interested when I first saw it at E3. And when I flipped it round, it was okay. There's nothing really wrong with it. There's a bit of something going on in the middle, but it's fine. The second game is Dead Island 2. Now, I know this has probably been out a year or so at this point, but to me anyway, it feels like a newish release. My cat really wants to know what's going on. But for £7.82 to pick up Dead Island 2 and We Happy Few, which rhymes unbelievably well, I was blown away by how much that cost me. How much would that have cost me on the PlayStation? So let me tell you, We Happy Few on the PlayStation 4 is £12. That is more than I've paid for these. It's not far off double what I've paid for these. Dead Island 2, on the other hand, for the PlayStation 5, is £22. It's just 12 in CEX for the Xbox version. And that is why I absolutely love the Xbox. Yes, both of these are available on Game Pass. Will they always be on Game Pass? Who knows? But it doesn't matter because now I own them. And I find that astonishing how if I went to PlayStation or stayed on PlayStation and I wanted to play both of these games, it would cost me 34 quid in CEX to play them. And yes, if I went on Vinted, maybe I would be able to find them for £20 for both of them. But that's still nearly 3 times as much as I've paid for both of these games. Take £7, well say £8 for the sake of argument, off the total cash value in this series, and that's where we are in terms of credit and cash at the moment. I'm so happy to add those two for the price that I've added them. I'm really looking forward to playing through this and this because I was really excited for this at E3, but didn't have, I say E3, it was a long time ago, but I didn't have an Xbox or any way of playing it, so I didn't, and then it kind of just drifted off into the ether of my mind. We are not quite done because I have yet another pickup, and this is not a heavy hitter by any stretch of the imagination, but it's a game that once again you do not see very often at all, and it is in absolutely immaculate condition. Really, really happy I got this, and it is actually a game that I've showed off in a video before and just forgot to buy. So not that long ago, I was doing some sort of video. I was either a tour or I was going around trying to buy some credit. It might have even been when I took all the PlayStation games in. I genuinely can't remember. But I picked a game up off the shelf and I said, I really wanted to buy that. And when I'm filming, I'll go around and I'll pick things up and show them off to the camera and I'll make a mental note of it. And then when I stop filming, I go back around again and pick up everything I want because I've only got 2 hands. One of them is filming. The other one needs to sort of pick things up and show off. I can't pick up the games I want as I go because where do I put them? How do I hang on to them, right? One of the games I wanted to buy and then put back down and then completely forgot about was Hitman, the HD trilogy on the Xbox 360. I wasn't really sure what this game included, even though it does say it on the case, and I've only just read through it and was like, oh right, that's what it includes. So this has basically all of the Hitman games available on the Xbox 360, bar one. Absolution is not on this, so I do need to pick that up. That's only £1.50. I'll find it at some point. It's not in my local at the moment. Blood Money, which is £3.50 by itself, is on this, and it also includes Contracts and Hitman 2 Silent Assassin. And on the back it also says that it includes the Sniper Challenge, which is always fun to play through. 2 discs, and like I mentioned, in really, really good, almost immaculate condition. This thing was fantastic. It was just shining above all the rest of them. The reason I forgot to pick it up, and I've mentioned this before, is because it was a shelf above my eye line and I forgot completely that it was there. Didn't look at it, didn't pick it up. Went back a couple of days later, fully expecting it to be gone, and it was still there. So I nabbed it. 15 quid may seem like a lot to pay for this, and it might be, but it's the same price actually on the PS3 as it is on the 360, but I really wanted that on the shelf. It's going to look fantastic. 3 Xbox 360, 3 Xbox One/X games. I need to really think of a way of saying that better. All of the money spent, all the credit spent, all the cash spent, it's all been deducted. It's all on screen for you right now. I do have a few more Xbox games that I've picked up, but now I'm going to have slightly varied pickups, I would imagine, over the next few weeks or so, because there may be some original Xbox games I want to buy, and there may be some PS2 games I want to buy, depending on which platform I decide to go for. Unfortunately, my local CEX doesn't have any Turtles games on any platform in stock that I'm interested in anyway. They've got the one that I have on the 360 and that's it, so it's not like that's going to make my mind up. And that's where you come in. You really do need to help me out with this. Do I go for that subset on the Xbox just because, and then just go for everything I want on the PS2? Do I forget about the Xbox altogether and just try and build up a all killer, no filler collection on the PS2? I really hate that saying, but it kind of does explain what I want to do here. I just want those sort of big hitting games that I want to play, and I say big hitting as if the ones that I want are really expensive. Only the Turtle ones I can think of are that expensive. Manhunt 2 as well might be a game that I want to pick up on the PS2, but that is currently £95 with a manual, and I don't know if I care that much. The original Manhunt is actually £7 cheaper on the PS2 than it is on the Xbox, because the PlayStation PlayStation 2 is just a cheaper platform to collect for. I've always said it and I stand by it. Let me know what you think in the comments. Yes, I know I'm an idiot, but hey, I love changing my mind and I do love playing through video games more now than ever before, I think. I'll be back again very soon with the answer, the verdict, and maybe even some pickups from said platform, as well as some other pickups that I've got waiting for you. In the meantime, if you want to check out another video from me, you can click here. And until the next time, goodbye.